The golden hour sunlight painted the quiet suburban street in shades of amber and orange as Paul Tiger Lindsay walked back toward his motorcycle, parked 2 houses down. At 48, with tribal tattoos snaking down both muscular arms and a thick beard streaked with gray, Tiger had spent most of his adult life on 2 wheels, earning a reputation that preceded him wherever he went. He looked every bit the part of what nervous parents might cross the street to avoid. Worn leather vest over a sleeveless green shirt, heavy black boots that had seen 1,000 miles, and the kind of hard-edged face that came from years of living rough. But appearances, as Tiger had learned throughout his life, could be deceiving. He just finished helping his buddy Danny move furniture, and his shoulders burned from hauling couches and boxes up narrow staircases. All he wanted now was to get home, crack open a cold beer, and put his feet up while the sun went down. He rolled his neck, hearing it crack, and reached for his helmet dangling from the handlebar. That's when he heard it, a soft, heartbroken sobbing coming from somewhere close by. Tiger paused, his hand frozen on the helmet. The sound was coming from between 2 parked cars about 20 feet ahead, where the long shadows from the houses created dark pockets on the pavement. He hesitated. In his years on the road and living on the edges, he'd learned that sometimes the smartest thing to do was mind your own business, especially when you looked like trouble yourself. But something in the quality of that crying, desperate, frightened, young, made his feet carry him toward the sound before his brain had fully agreed to the decision. What would you have done in Tiger's place? Would you have stopped or kept walking? Watch until the end to see how one choice changed everything. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Biker Stories. Tell us where you're watching from if you believe that heroes come in all forms. As Tiger approached, the sobbing grew more distinct, broken by hiccuping gasps that pierced the quiet evening air. He deliberately scuffed his boots on the pavement, making noise so he wouldn't startle whoever was there. "Hey," he called out gently, keeping his voice low and even. "Everything okay over there?" The crying stopped abruptly, replaced by a sharp, frightened intake of breath. Tiger rounded the back of a silver sedan and stopped cold. Huddled between the car and a dusty pickup truck was a little girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old, wearing a bright yellow dress that seemed to glow against the darkening pavement. Her brown hair hung in tangled strands around her tear-streaked face, and her small hands clutched a bright orange plastic bag to her chest with such fierce, desperate intensity that her knuckles had gone bone white. The moment her eyes locked onto his, pure primal terror flooded her features. She scrambled backward, her sandals scraping against the asphalt, pressing herself so hard against the pickup's tire that Tiger thought she might try to crawl under the truck itself. A strangled sound escaped her throat, somewhere between a gasp and a scream. And the orange bag crinkled loudly as she hugged it even tighter to her small body. Tiger's heart sank like a stone dropped into dark water. He knew that look intimately. He'd seen it his entire adult life on faces young and old, in grocery stores and gas stations, at traffic lights and street corners. Parents who clutched their children's hands a little tighter when he walked by. Women who crossed to the other side of the street. Security guards who tracked his every movement through their stores. All because of the ink on his arms, the leather on his back, the beard on his face, the very size and shape of him. But this was different. This was a child, alone and terrified on a quiet suburban street at dusk. And whatever had brought her here, whatever had reduced her to hysterical sobbing between parked cars, it wasn't him. At least it hadn't been, until now. He stopped moving immediately and raised both hands slowly, palms out, fingers spread wide. "Whoa, hey, easy there," Tiger said, making his voice as soft and unthreatening as he could manage. "I'm not gonna hurt you, sweetheart, I promise. I just heard you crying and wanted to make sure you're okay." Emily, though he didn't know her name yet, stared at him with eyes so wide and terrified that they seemed to take up half her face. Her chest heaved with rapid, panicked breaths. Tears streamed down her flushed cheeks in steady rivers, and her entire body trembled like a leaf in a storm. She looked at his tattooed arms, at his leather vest, at his boots, and then back at his face, and Tiger could see her trying to decide whether to scream or run or both. The orange bag never left her grip. If anything, she held it tighter, as though it were a lifeline, the only solid thing in a world that had suddenly become dangerous and incomprehensible. Around them, the suburban street remained perfectly, almost eerily quiet. It was that magic hour when families gathered for dinner, when the smell of cooking drifted from kitchen windows and television screens glowed blue behind curtains. Neat houses with manicured lawns lined both sides of the street, each one a picture of safety and normalcy. The warm light spilling from windows made the gathering shadows seem deeper, more threatening by contrast. And here he was, Tiger thought bitterly, the menace in their midst, the thing that didn't belong in this sanitized suburban tableau. A scarred, tattooed biker crouched in the street, trying to convince a terrified child that he wasn't the monster his appearance suggested. "What's your name, honey?" Tiger asked, keeping his hands visible, keeping his voice gentle. "I'm not going to come any closer unless you say it's okay. I just want to help." Emily's lower lip trembled violently. She looked down at the orange bag clutched to her chest, then back up at Tiger, and he saw the war playing out across her young face. Fear battling against desperate need. Distrust fighting with the bone-deep exhaustion of someone who'd been carrying a burden far too heavy for her small shoulders. I can't," she whispered, her voice so small and broken that Tiger had to strain to hear it. "I'm not supposed to talk to anyone. He said if I talk to anyone, if I tell..." Fresh sobs choked off whatever she'd been about to say, and her whole body shook with the force of them. Tiger felt something cold and sharp settle deep in his gut. This wasn't a lost child. This wasn't a kid who'd wandered away from her parents at the park. This was something darker, something that made his hands curl into fists and his jaw clench hard enough to hurt. He crouched down slowly, carefully, making himself smaller, less imposing. The rough asphalt bit into his knees through his jeans, and his leather vest creaked with the movement. At this height, he was almost at eye level with her, and he could see more clearly now, the dirt smudged on the bright yellow fabric of her dress, the way her small hands trembled as they gripped the plastic bag, the desperate, hunted look in her red-rimmed eyes that no child should ever have to wear. "Listen to me," Tiger said quietly, holding her gaze. "I know I probably look scary, I get it. I look like the bad guy in every movie you've ever seen, right? But I promise you, on everything I hold sacred, I'm not here to hurt you. My name's Tiger. Yeah, weird name, I know. And all I want is to help you. That's it. That's all." For a long moment, Emily just stared at him, searching his face for something. Truth, maybe, or safety, or just some small reason to believe that not every big, scary-looking man in the world wanted to hurt her. Her breathing slowed, just a fraction. The sobs quieted to hitching gasps. "Emily," she finally whispered, so softly it was almost lost in the evening air. "My name's Emily." "Emily," Tiger repeated softly, letting the name settle between them like a peace offering. "That's a beautiful name. Emily, I need you to listen to me very carefully, okay? Are you hurt? Did someone hurt you?" Emily shook her head quickly, but fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Her grip on the orange bag never loosened, her fingers digging into the plastic so hard Tiger worried it might tear. "Where are your parents, sweetheart? Where do you live?" At the word parents, Emily's face crumpled. A sound escaped her throat, raw and broken, and she began crying again with renewed intensity. Her small body shook with sobs that seemed too big for someone so small. Tiger stayed exactly where he was, crouched on the pavement, hands still visible, every muscle in his body screaming at him to close the distance and comfort this child, but knowing that one wrong move would send her fleeing into the darkening street. He'd worked with scared animals before, knew the delicate balance between approach and retreat, between offering safety and becoming the thing they feared most. Okay, he said gently, keeping his voice low and soothing. "You don't have to tell me right now. That's all right. But Emily, you're out here all alone, and it's getting dark. That's not safe. Whatever's going on, whatever you're scared of, I can help. I promise you, I can help. You can't, Emily whispered, the words barely audible between hitching breaths. Nobody can. He said if I tell anyone, if anyone knows, he'll... She stopped abruptly, her eyes going wide with fresh terror, as if she'd already said too much. Tiger's jaw clenched. Every instinct he had, honed over years of dealing with the worst kinds of people, told him that this child was in immediate danger, not from him, but from someone else. Someone who'd put fear into her so deep that even alone and terrified on a darkening street, she was more afraid of speaking than of staying silent. He'll what, Emily? Tiger asked quietly. Who are you talking about? Emily shook her head violently, her tangled hair whipping around her face. I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't. The words came faster now, a panicked chant. She rocked slightly, the orange bag pressed against her chest like armor. In the distance, a dog barked. A car passed on the next street over, its engine a distant rumble. The normalcy of those sounds felt obscene against the scene unfolding here. Between these parked cars, where a grown man who looked like trouble was trying to save a child who couldn't ask for help. Tiger shifted slightly, wincing as his knees protested. He glanced around the quiet street, at the houses with their warm, glowing windows, and wondered if anyone was watching. If they were, what did they see? A scary-looking biker harassing a little girl? Or a man trying to help? He knew which version they'd likely believe, but that didn't matter now. Nothing mattered except the terrified child in front of him. Emily, look at me, Tiger said, waiting until her red-rimmed eyes met his. I don't know what someone told you, but you're not in trouble. You hear me? Whatever's in that bag, whatever you're supposed to do with it, whatever you've been told, none of that is your fault. You're just a kid. Kids aren't supposed to carry grown-up burdens like this. Something flickered across Emily's face at that, a recognition, a desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, this strange, frightening man with the tattoos and the leather might actually understand. My mommy, Emily whispered suddenly, the words tumbling out in a rush. I need my mommy, but Jason said she's sick. He said she can't see anyone right now, and I have to do what he says, and I have to take this bag far away and not talk to anyone and... Who's Jason? Tiger interrupted gently. Emily's lower lip trembled. My mom's boyfriend. He lives with us. He said mommy's sick and I have to help her get better by doing what he says. But I'm scared, and I don't know where I'm supposed to go, and it's getting dark, and... Her words dissolved into sobs again, and Tiger felt rage ignite in his chest, hot and fierce. A boyfriend, using a child, making her carry something. And Tiger was now absolutely certain that whatever was in that orange plastic bag, it wasn't anything a child should be carrying. Emily, Tiger said, his voice still gentle but carrying an edge of steel now, I need you to trust me. Just for a minute. Can you do that? Emily stared at Tiger for a long moment, her chest still heaving with residual sobs. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, she nodded. Okay, Tiger said, keeping his voice steady despite the fury churning in his gut. Okay, good. That's real brave of you, Emily. Now I need you to tell me about your mommy. When did you last see her? Emily's face crumpled again, but this time she forced the words out between trembling lips. This morning, before Jason woke up, she was making me breakfast, and she was crying, and she had a bruise right here. Emily touched her own cheek, indicating where she'd seen the mark on her mother's face. Tiger's hands clenched into fists, but he kept them low, out of Emily's direct line of sight. Did Jason give her that bruise? Emily nodded miserably. They had a really big fight last night. There was yelling and crashing, and Mommy was screaming, and I hid in my closet like she told me to do when Jason gets angry. Fresh tears tracked down her cheeks. This morning, Mommy hugged me really tight and said she loved me. And then Jason came downstairs and told her to go back to the bedroom and not come out. And then what happened? Tiger asked, though he already knew the answer would make him want to put his fist through something. Jason made me sit at the table. He gave me this bag. Emily looked down at the orange plastic clutched to her chest. He said Mommy was very sick and needed special medicine, but we didn't have money for it. He said if I was a good girl and took this bag to an address he gave me, way across town, then Mommy would get better. He said I couldn't tell anyone or open the bag, or Mommy would get sicker and it would be all my fault. Tiger's vision went red at the edges. The sick bastard had weaponized this child's love for her mother, turned her into an unwitting courier for God knows what, and threatened her into silence with the one thing she couldn't bear, her mother's suffering. Emily, did Jason write down this address? Do you have it with you? Emily shook her head. He made me memorize it. He said if anyone found a paper on me, Mommy would get really, really sick. It's 1247 Riverside Drive, apartment 3B. He said I had to give the bag to a man named Carlos and then come straight home. Tiger's mind raced. 12-year-old girl, halfway across town, carrying what he was now certain were drugs or money or both, to deliver to some criminal contact. If Emily had actually made it there, if she'd walked into that apartment, there was no guarantee she would have walked back out. Jason might have been planning to dispose of the only witness to whatever operation he was running. How far did you get? Tiger asked gently. I don't know, Emily whispered. I walked and walked and it got scary and people looked at me funny and I got lost and then I couldn't anymore. I'm tired and hungry and I want my mommy, but Jason said I can't see her until I deliver the bag and I don't even know where Riverside Drive is and… Emily, Tiger interrupted gently but firmly, listen to me very carefully. Your mommy isn't sick. Do you understand? Jason lied to you. Emily's eyes went wide. But he said, I know what he said, sweetheart, but I need you to trust me now. Your mommy needs help, real help, and the only way we can help her is if you let me see what's in that bag and then we call the police. No! Emily's grip tightened on the orange plastic and panic flashed across her face. No, no police! Jason said if I told the police, Mommy would… Jason lied, Tiger repeated more forcefully this time. Emily, I think your mommy's in trouble. I think Jason is keeping her in that bedroom and won't let her out. I think he's using you to do something very dangerous. And if we don't get help right now, your mommy's going to stay in trouble. Do you understand? Emily's breathing quickened, her eyes darting between Tiger's face and the orange bag. He's keeping her locked up? I think so, yes. But why would he do that? Mommy loves him. She said he was going to be my new daddy. Tiger's heart broke at the confusion and betrayal in her voice. Some people aren't who they pretend to be, Emily. And right now, the most important thing is getting your mommy safe. But I can't do that without your help. Emily's world was crumbling. Tiger could see it in her eyes the way understanding and denial warred across her young face. She'd been taught to trust adults, to believe what they told her, and now this tattooed stranger was telling her that everything Jason had said was a lie. I don't understand, Emily whispered, her voice small and lost. Why would he lie? Why would he hurt Mommy? Tiger's jaw worked. How did you explain evil to a child? How did you tell her that monsters didn't just exist in storybooks, that sometimes they wore familiar faces and slept in the room next to yours? Because some people do bad things, Tiger said finally, choosing his words carefully. And when they do bad things, they hurt the people around them to keep their secrets. But here's what I know, Emily. Right now, right this second, you have the power to save your mommy. Not Jason, not anyone else. You. Emily's eyes widened. Me? You, Tiger confirmed, shifting his weight to ease the ache in his knees. The pavement was cold and unforgiving, but he didn't move from his crouched position. He couldn't risk making Emily feel threatened, not now when she was so close to trusting him. But I need you to be brave, braver than you've ever been. Can you do that? Emily bit her lip. Tears still streaming down her face, but Tiger saw something shift in her expression, a spark of determination breaking through the fear. What do I have to do? She asked. Tiger took a slow breath. I need you to let me see what's in that bag. And then I need you to let me call the police so they can go get your mommy out of that house and away from Jason. The panic returned instantly to Emily's face. But Jason said, Jason is a liar, Tiger interrupted gently but firmly. And more than that, he's a bad man who's hurting your mommy. The police are the good guys, Emily. They're the ones who stop bad people and keep families safe. I know Jason told you not to trust them, but that's because he doesn't want them to find out what he's doing. He doesn't want them to rescue your mommy. Emily looked down at the orange bag, her small hands still gripping it with white-knuckled desperation. What if he's right? What if something bad happens to mommy because I told? Tiger felt his heart crack. This child had been carrying the weight of her mother's life on her shoulders, believing that one wrong move would destroy everything. The psychological torture Jason had inflicted was almost worse than the physical danger. Emily, look at me, Tiger said, waiting until her tear-filled eyes met his. I'm going to make you a promise right now, okay? And I never ever break my promises. Emily nodded hesitantly. I promise you that I will keep you safe, Tiger said, his voice low and steady, every word carrying the weight of an oath. I promise that I will do everything in my power to get your mommy away from Jason. I promise that I won't let anything bad happen to either of you. And I promise that when this is over, you and your mommy are going to be together again, safe and sound. Do you believe me? Emily searched his face for a long moment. Tiger held her gaze, letting her see the truth in his eyes. The conviction, the barely restrained fury at what had been done to her and her mother, and underneath it all, the fierce protective instinct that had made him approach a crying child despite knowing how he looked. You promise? Emily whispered. You really, really promise? On my life, Tiger said. I promise. Something in Emily broke then, the last wall of fear crumbling. Fresh sobs racked her small body, but these were different, not panicked or terrified, but the desperate relief of someone who'd been carrying an impossible burden, finally finding someone to help shoulder the weight. Okay, she gasped between sobs. Okay, I'll show you, but you have to keep your promise. You have to save my mommy. I will, Tiger said, his voice rough with emotion. I swear to you, Emily, I will. Slowly, with trembling hands, Emily began to lower the orange bag from her chest. Tiger's hands were steady as he reached out, even though his heart was hammering against his ribs. Emily extended the orange bag toward him with trembling fingers, and he took it carefully, as if it were something fragile and precious, rather than what he suspected it actually was. The plastic was warm from being clutched against Emily's chest for hours. It was heavier than it looked, and something shifted inside with a dull, ominous sound. You don't have to watch this part, Tiger said softly, but Emily shook her head. I want to know, she whispered. I want to know what he made me carry. Tiger nodded and set the bag on the pavement between them. The orange plastic seemed to glow in the fading light, innocuous and cheerful, the kind of bag you'd use for groceries or beach toys. His fingers found the handles, and he pulled them apart slowly, the plastic crinkling loud in the evening quiet. He peered inside, and for a moment, his brain couldn't process what he was seeing. Then it hit him all at once, and the world went red. Stacks of cash, rubber banded together in thick bundles, filled the bottom of the bag. Hundreds by the look of them. Thousands of dollars, maybe tens of thousands. But that wasn't what made Tiger's blood run cold. Nestled between the money were clear plastic bags filled with white powder, methamphetamine or cocaine. He couldn't tell which, and it didn't matter. Enough drugs to put someone away for years. Enough drugs to destroy lives, to fuel addiction, to rip families apart. And underneath it all, wedged at the bottom, was a handgun. Small, black, loaded. Jason had put a loaded weapon in a bag and sent an 8-year-old child across town with it. The sound that tore from Tiger's throat wasn't quite a scream and wasn't quite a roar. It was pure, visceral rage given voice, the kind of sound that came from somewhere primal and uncontrolled. His vision tunneled, his hands shaking as he gripped the edges of the bag. Every muscle in his body coiled tight with the overwhelming urge to find Jason and make him pay for this, for all of it, for every second of terror he'd inflicted on this child. What is it? Emily asked, her voice small and frightened, and that, more than anything, brought Tiger back to himself. He looked up at her, saw the fear returning to her face. Fear of him now, of his reaction. And he forced himself to breathe, to unclench his jaw, to lock down the rage that wanted to consume him. It's, Tiger started, then stopped. How did you explain this to a child? It's very bad things, Emily. Things that bad people use to hurt other people. And Jason, he had to stop again, had to swallow the fury threatening to choke him. Jason used you to carry these things because he knew if he got caught with them, he'd go to jail for a very long time. Emily's face went pale. He made me carry drugs. Tiger nodded, carefully closing the bag and setting it aside, away from her. And money. And a gun, Emily. A real gun. If the police had stopped you, if anyone had looked in this bag, they would have arrested you. An 8-year-old child. That's what Jason did to you. But I didn't know, Emily whispered, her voice breaking. I didn't know what was in it. I would never. I know you wouldn't, Tiger said firmly, his voice rough but gentle. You didn't do anything wrong, Emily. You hear me? None of this is your fault. You were trying to help your mommy because you love her. That's not wrong. What's wrong is what Jason did, using you like this, putting you in danger like this. Emily's small body began to shake, great heaving sobs racking her frame. I want my mommy. Please, I just want my mommy. Tiger's heart shattered. He wanted to pull this child into his arms and promise her everything would be okay, but he couldn't. Not yet. First, he had to make the call that would set everything in motion. First, he had to keep his promise. I'm calling the police right now, Tiger said, pulling his phone from his vest pocket. And then we're going to get your mommy back. I promised you, remember? And I keep my promises. Tiger's hands were still shaking as he unlocked his phone, the adrenaline and rage making his fingers fumble slightly on the screen. He forced himself to breathe slowly, to center himself. Emily needed him calm now, not furious. There would be time for anger later. He dialed 911 and the line connected almost immediately. 911, what's your emergency? I need police and possibly Child Protective Services, Tiger said, his voice steady despite the storm raging inside him. I'm at the corner of Maple and Elm Street, and I've found a child who was forced to transport drugs, cash, and a firearm by her mother's boyfriend. The mother is being held against her will at their residence. There was a brief pause on the other end. Sir, can you repeat that? Tiger did, adding more detail this time. The child's name is Emily. She's approximately 8 years old. Her mother's boyfriend, name is Jason, gave her a bag containing what appears to be methamphetamine or cocaine, several $1,000s in cash, and a loaded handgun. He instructed her to deliver it to an address across town, 1247 Riverside Drive, apartment 3B, to someone named Carlos. The child got lost and never made the delivery. Is the child injured? No, she's physically unharmed, but she's terrified. Jason told her that her mother was sick and that if she didn't make the delivery, her mother would die. I believe the mother is being held hostage or imprisoned in their home. There was a domestic violence incident last night. The child heard screaming and crashing. Tiger glanced at Emily, who was watching him with wide, hopeful eyes, her small body still trembling. Sir, what's your name? Paul Lindsay. People call me Tiger. He rattled off his driver's license number without being asked, knowing it would speed things up. I'm not involved in any of this. I just heard the kid crying and stopped to help. The bag and its contents are here with me, untouched except for me looking inside. And the child's home address. Tiger looked at Emily. Emily, sweetheart, what's your address? Where do you live with your mommy and Jason? Emily's voice was barely audible. 634 Oakwood Lane, the yellow house with the white fence. Tiger relayed the information to the dispatcher, who he could hear typing rapidly in the background. Officers are being dispatched to your location now, Mr. Lindsay. Stay where you are. I'm also sending units to 634 Oakwood Lane for a welfare check. Do not leave the scene or touch the bag or its contents any further. Understood, Tiger said. How long until officers arrive? Approximately 5 minutes. Mr. Lindsay, is the child safe with you right now? Does she appear to be in immediate danger? Tiger looked at Emily, who had moved slightly closer to him, no longer pressing herself against the truck's tire. The fear in her eyes had shifted. She was still afraid, but now it was fear for her mother. Not fear of him. "She's safe," Tiger said quietly. "I've got her. She's not going anywhere." "Good. Stay on the line with me until officers arrive." Tiger nodded, even though the dispatcher couldn't see him. He lowered himself fully to sit on the pavement, his back against the truck's tire, his phone still pressed to his ear. Emily hesitantly sat down next to him, leaving about a foot of space between them, but close enough that Tiger could feel the warmth of her small presence. "They're coming to get your mommy," Tiger said softly, covering the phone's microphone. "Police are going to your house right now. They're going to make sure she's okay." "What if Jason won't let them in?" Emily whispered. "What if he hurts her?" "Police don't ask permission from bad guys," Tiger said. "If they think someone's in danger, they go in. Your mommy's going to be safe soon, Emily, I promise." In the distance, Tiger could already hear the faint wail of sirens approaching, growing louder with each passing second. Emily heard them too and grabbed the sleeve of his leather vest, her small fingers clutching the worn material. "It's okay," Tiger said gently. "Those are the good guys coming. Everything's going to be okay now." He just hoped he was right. The sirens grew louder, splitting the quiet suburban evening with their urgent wail. Red and blue lights flickered against the houses, painting the peaceful street in alternating splashes of color. 2 patrol cars turned onto the street, slowing as they approached Tiger's position. Tiger stayed exactly where he was, sitting against the truck tire with Emily beside him, his hands visible and away from his body. He'd been through this enough times to know how this would look. A big tattooed biker in leather, sitting with a crying child and a bag full of drugs and money. The optics were terrible. "Emily," Tiger said quietly as the cars pulled to a stop about 20 feet away. "The police are going to ask you a lot of questions. I need you to tell them the truth, okay? Tell them everything you told me. Don't be scared. They're here to help." Emily nodded, her fingers still clutching his vest sleeve. 4 officers emerged from the vehicles, hands resting cautiously on their duty belts. Tiger could see the way their eyes assessed the scene. The biker, the child, the orange bag sitting a few feet away. One officer, a woman with sharp eyes and graying hair pulled back in a tight bun, approached while the others fanned out slightly. "I'm Officer Martinez," she said, her voice firm but not unkind. "Are you Paul Lindsay?" "Yes, ma'am," Tiger said, keeping his voice level. "I'm the one who called. This is Emily. The bag with the contraband is right there." He nodded toward the orange plastic. "I haven't touched it since I called except to close it." "Sir, I need you to slowly stand up and put your hands where I can see them," Martinez said. Tiger had expected this. He gently disengaged Emily's grip on his vest. "It's okay, sweetheart. I'm just going to talk to the officers for a minute." He rose slowly, keeping his movements deliberate and non-threatening, and raised his hands to chest height, palms forward. Behind Martinez, one of the other officers had crouched down next to Emily, speaking to her in low, gentle tones. "Mr. Lindsay, do you have any weapons on you?" Martinez asked. "Pocket knife in my right front pocket," Tiger said. "That's it." Martinez nodded to one of the other officers, who approached and carefully patted Tiger down, removing the small folding knife and stepping back. Throughout it all, Tiger kept his eyes forward, his breathing steady, even as his radio crackled to life on Martinez's shoulder. "Unit 12, we're at 634 Oakwood Lane. Front door was unlocked. We've got a female, late 20s, locked in the master bedroom. She's injured but conscious. Requesting medical immediately. Suspect is not on scene. Repeat, suspect is not on scene." Tiger's chest loosened slightly. Martha was alive. Injured, but alive. Martinez's expression shifted as she listened to the radio traffic, her posture relaxing fractionally. She looked at Tiger with new eyes, reassessing. "Emily," Martinez called over her shoulder. "Is your mommy's name Martha?" "Yes." Emily scrambled to her feet, hope blazing across her tear-stained face. "Is she okay? Did you find her? Is she okay?" "She's hurt, honey, but she's alive and the paramedics are going to take care of her," Martinez said, her voice gentler now. She turned back to Tiger. "Mr. Lindsay, You can lower your hands. Officer Kim is going to take your statement. Tiger lowered his arms slowly, relief washing over him so intensely he felt momentarily lightheaded. Emily rushed past Martinez and threw her arms around Tiger's waist, pressing her face against his vest. "You kept your promise," she sobbed. "You kept your promise." Tiger's hand came up instinctively, resting gently on the back of Emily's head. Around them, the neighborhood had come alive with curiosity. Faces appeared in windows, porch lights flickered on, and a small crowd was gathering at a respectful distance, phones out, watching the scene unfold. Tiger could see the judgment in some of their faces, the suspicion, the biker with the drugs and the crying child. But he didn't care anymore. Martha was alive. Emily was safe. That was all that mattered. "Yeah, kiddo," Tiger said, his voice rough with emotion. "I told you I keep my promises." Tiger spent the next hour giving his statement to Officer Kim, recounting every detail from the moment he'd heard Emily crying to the contents of the orange bag. Emily sat in the back of Martinez's patrol car, wrapped in a blanket, sipping juice while a victim advocate spoke with her gently. The bag and its contents had been photographed, cataloged, and secured as evidence. "You did good, Mr. Lindsay," Officer Kim said, closing his notebook. "Most people would have kept walking." Tiger shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. "She's a kid. Anyone would have stopped." Kim gave him a look that said they both knew that wasn't true, but he didn't argue the point. An ambulance had taken Emily to the hospital to be checked over, and more importantly, to be reunited with her mother. Martinez had assured Tiger that Martha's injuries, while serious, a concussion, broken ribs, severe bruising, weren't life-threatening. She'd been locked in that bedroom for nearly 12 hours with no food or water, but she would recover. 3 days later, Tiger's phone rang with an unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. "Mr. Lindsay? This is Detective Ramirez with the Metro Police Department." Tiger straightened. "Yeah, that's me. I wanted to update you on the case involving Emily and Martha Henderson. We apprehended Jason Miller yesterday afternoon at a bus station near the state line. He was attempting to flee with a one-way ticket and fake identification." Tiger's grip tightened on the phone. "Good. What's he looking at?" "Multiple felony charges," Ramirez said, and Tiger could hear the satisfaction in his voice. "Drug trafficking with intent to distribute, child endangerment, criminal use of a minor, possession of an illegal firearm, kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, aggravated domestic violence, and assault. He'll be going away for a very long time, Mr. Lindsay, 20 to 30 years minimum, if not more." Tiger closed his eyes, feeling something tight in his chest finally release. "And Emily? Martha?" "Martha was released from the hospital yesterday. She and Emily are staying with Martha's mother for now, getting some distance from that house. Social services is involved, making sure they have support and counseling. Martha wanted me to tell you." Ramirez paused. "She wanted me to tell you thank you. She said if you hadn't stopped, if you hadn't helped Emily, she doesn't know if either of them would have survived." Tiger's throat went tight. "She doesn't owe me thanks. I just did what anyone should have done." "Maybe," Ramirez said, "but you're the one who did it. That matters, Mr. Lindsay. That matters a lot." After Tiger hung up, he sat in his garage for a long time, staring at his motorcycle, thinking about fate and timing and what it meant to be in the right place at the right moment. He thought about Emily's tear-stained face, about the orange bag, about the promise he'd made sitting on cold pavement in the gathering dark. He'd kept that promise, and somehow that changed something in him he hadn't even known needed changing. 3 weeks after that evening on Maple Street, a small package arrived at Tiger's door. There was no return address, just his name written in careful, adult handwriting with a child's crayon drawing taped to the brown paper. Tiger opened it carefully. Inside was a piece of construction paper folded in half, and when he opened it, his breath caught. The drawing was unmistakably Emily's work. A big man with dark scribbles on his arms, representing tattoos, standing next to a tiny girl in a yellow dress. Between them, she'd drawn a bright orange bag with a large X through it. Above the figures, a massive sun beamed down, and across the top in uneven, wobbly letters. "Thank you, Tiger. You are my hero." A letter fell from the folded paper, written in adult script on lined notebook paper. "Dear Mr. Lindsay, I don't have adequate words to express what you did for my daughter and me. Emily talks about you constantly, about how you kept your promise, about how you weren't scary once she got to know you, about how sometimes the bravest people look different than what we expect. She's doing better every day. We both are. The counseling helps, and knowing that Jason can't hurt us anymore helps even more. But what helps most is knowing that when Emily needed someone, when we both needed someone, you were there. You didn't have to stop. You didn't have to get involved. Most people wouldn't have. But you did, and that choice saved our lives. Emily wants to see you again someday, when things are more settled. She wants to show you that she's not scared anymore. I hope you'll say yes. Thank you for being exactly who you are, exactly when we needed you." With eternal gratitude, Martha Henderson Tiger read the letter 3 times, his eyes burning with unexpected emotion. He propped Emily's drawing on his workbench in the garage, right where he could see it every day. A month later, Tiger was invited to a community barbecue in the park. He almost didn't go. Crowds weren't really his thing, and he still drew stares and whispers wherever he went. But something made him change his mind. He was standing by the grill, paper plate in hand, when he heard it. "Tiger!" He turned, and there was Emily, running full speed across the grass, her face lit up with pure joy. Martha walked behind her, moving more slowly but smiling, healthy color back in her cheeks. Emily didn't hesitate. She crashed into Tiger's legs, hugging him with all the fierce strength her small body could muster. "You came," she said, beaming up at him. "Mommy said you might come, and you did." Tiger crouched down, setting his plate aside. "Of course I came. I told you I keep my promises, didn't I?" Martha reached them, her eyes shining with tears. "Thank you," she said simply, "for everything." Tiger stood, suddenly aware of the crowd watching them, the whispers, the phones coming out to capture the moment, the neighbors who judged him that night now seeing something different, the scary biker and the little girl he'd saved. But their opinions didn't matter anymore. They never really had. What mattered was Emily's hand in his, the gratitude in Martha's eyes, and the knowledge that when it counted, when a child needed help, he hadn't walked away. "You know what I learned?" Emily said, looking up at Tiger with absolute trust. "I learned that you can't tell if someone's good or bad just by looking at them. You have to see what they do." Tiger's throat tightened. "That's right, kiddo. That's exactly right." As the afternoon sun cast golden light across the park, Tiger realized something profound. For years, he'd carried the weight of other people's judgments, their fear, their assumptions about who he was based on what he looked like. He'd let it define him, keep him at a distance, make him hesitant to connect. But Emily had taught him something in return. True courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about being afraid and doing the right thing anyway. And true character wasn't about appearances. It was about choices. The choice to stop, the choice to listen, the choice to help. He'd spent his whole life being judged by his tattoos and his leather and his beard. But in the end, the only measure that mattered was what he'd done when someone needed him. And he'd done the right thing. That, Tiger thought as Emily chattered excitedly about starting 3rd grade, was enough. So here's my question for you. When was the last time you stopped to help someone, even when it was uncomfortable? When did you choose to see past appearances and act on what was right? Tiger's story reminds us that heroes aren't always who we expect them to be. Sometimes they're the ones society overlooks. The ones who look different, the ones we cross the street to avoid. If this story moved you, if it made you think twice about judging someone by how they look, hit that like button. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss stories that challenge how we see the world. And most importantly, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Share it with someone who's ever felt judged unfairly. Share it with someone who might be the next Tiger, waiting for their moment to prove who they really are. Drop a comment below. Would you have stopped for Emily? Have you ever misjudged someone based on their appearance? Let's talk about it. Remember, true character isn't about what you look like. It's about what you do when someone needs you. Be like Tiger. Choose courage. Choose compassion. Choose to stop. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.